Hey, how's it going? This is Rock It Up TV, and I'm your host, Darren Flower. And today we're going to be talking all about radio, so make sure you keep this channel on lock because you're going to learn a lot. Rock it up. We are back here on Rock It Up TV at lovely Backroom Studios, and we're talking all about radio. And I have the perfect guest for this. This is Mr. Andrew Stefani, okay, from the classic rock station.
Classic Rock 94.5.
Okay.
And I put us to the Pepsi Challenge any day of the week to any other station.
All right, so you're Andrew Stefani, but I call you Dr. Stefani because you are like an encyclopedia for rock and roll.
Well, thank you very much.
You know,
my listeners actually call me Drew.
Drew?
That's
well,
my
I call you
stage
Doc.
name.
You know I always call you Doc, I never call you Drew, right?
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into this, okay?
Yeah.
So, you work as a DJ for a secondary market radio station.
Yes.
Commercial radio.
Yes.
Okay, which is very different from what I do at a college radio.
Yes.
At a university. So very,
Yes.
very different. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Money's on the line with mine.
Right.
Yeah.
And I make no money with what I do. For now.
Neither do I.
Okay, well let's talk about what you do, okay? So you're at a commercial radio station. What are the many different positions at a radio station?
Well, you start off with the general manager. Basically, in short, that's the grand overseer of everyone. Making sure that, like, if there's something wrong, like something serious going wrong, he'll put the fire out. After that, we've got what's known as a cluster. Most radio stations have a cluster. That's 3 stations, all of different varieties of music. And our cluster consists of Classic Rock 94.5, 101.7 The One, which is like a dance station, urban station. And then we've got CKNX Radio, which is the longest running station. I think they've been around for like 112 years or something like that. Wow. Yeah, and interestingly enough, a few years ago they were playing more modern country, and now they've gone back to the cool country, in my opinion.
Yeah,
you know,
too.
Yeah, like Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings,
Yeah,
Willie Nelson, Red-Headed Stranger, that sort of thing. Yeah. So each one of our stations has what you call a program director. Program director makes sure that everything is falling into line. And if there's a problem, say like, for instance, one of our DJs goes out and introduces a band and swears or does something irregular. It's our program director's job to basically say, cut it out, that sort of thing. A variety of things they do. I mean, like, I wouldn't even know where to begin to start the list. Generally, they're in charge of programming. They write up the promos for the stations. Like, for instance, right now we've got this thing right now called the Artist of the Day giveaway. And our program, Nate, good guy, he basically came up with the concept, so he does the promos like, you are listening now to the Artist of the Day, that kind of thing. And then after that, underneath him are his DJs. And there's a morning show traditionally, a midday show, which I host because it's perfect for family hours, because as you know, I'm a family man. I'm very proud of that. And then there's an evening drive announcer. Back in the day, there used to be evening announcers and there used to be overnight announcers. Actually, that's how I got my start. And it's really sad now because today there's no such thing as overnight announcers, because it was the perfect place for a young jock to get started. That's the traditional term that we use for ourselves, is jock or on-air personality. And the night shift. Alan Cross hired me. That's a name that should ring a bell.
I was talking to him about possibly being on this show.
Alan Cross hired me to do overnights because he knew that I wanted to badly. And overnights were the perfect place for a young jock, on-air personality to get started. You learn from your mistakes, and you learn to get better and better and better, and then eventually you get bumped up a spot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you want to describe the do's and don'ts of your job?
There's plenty of don'ts. For one, no swearing.
Ooh.
Absolutely no swearing. As far as do's, I come in at least 2.5 hours before my show starts at 10 o'clock, and I do my show prep just to make sure that I've got a great show planned. Covering daily topics. I usually put a humor spin on them. I don't go for a cheap laugh. I don't go for sleaze. I generally try and aim for wit on air. And then after that, I do a number of activities. I program music some days, which is basically you go in and you program the music for, if you're on a Wednesday afternoon, you program the music for the next day, Thursday. I also put together my own show, produce my own show. It's a specialty show called the Classic Rock Vinyl Vault, and it's an expose on some of the greatest classic rock albums of all time. So those are the do's. That's what I do. Don'ts, like I said, don't swear. Out in public, don't get inebriated. Don't act like an idiot.
So
don't insult your listeners.
Wait, so hold on, let's go
A
back.
lot of this stuff is actually no-brainer.
Yeah, but so if you were outside, at a bar and you were getting, you weren't drinking responsibly, like you should be, that's because you're carrying that into the bar. You're on-air personality. They don't.
Well, when you're outside of the station and you're doing an event, essentially you're an ambassador for the station, and you have to be on your best behavior. It's a lot like politics. In that sense, you know what I mean? Shaking hands and kissing baby is what we call it,
I bet you're very good at that kind of stuff.
It took a while to get used to that, actually, but I do try my best.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now here's a really important question for you. Can you play whatever you want?
Kids, if you're interested in getting into radio, if you want to get into radio, you have to understand, like I was explaining before, the programming is a huge part of radio. And if you overstep those boundaries and decide to play whatever you want, chances are you'll get fired.
That's the thing too, because I do college radio. I get to play whatever I want.
College radio you do.
College radio.
Commercial rock radio? No.
Well,
but I do have colleagues from the past that told me in the 70s they were able, before their show, to go and select their vinyl. Sure, there were parameters, like don't play this, don't play that, play this, because it's hot. But generally, they were allowed to choose their own music. And they would take the albums in because it was a different time. No computers, no nothing. You worked on cart systems, and you basically put the record on the turntable.
So, but here's the thing. Okay, you are a DJ at a classic rock station.
Yes.
They encourage you to play a whole lot of Rosie, a whole lot of AC/DC, a whole lot of Aerosmith. But now, do you actually get a chance to select what songs you want to hear? Like, I don't want to hear Back in Black for the millionth trillionth time. I want to hear Shoot to Thrill or something like that.
Well, that's where programming comes in. When I'm programming, sometimes I'll see a song that just really sticks out like a sore thumb, because you have to keep cognizant when you're programming energy levels. Like for instance, you don't want to play Enter Sandman and then follow it up with Candle in the Wind, right? You want to have your energy build up gradually. There are some cases where I'm like, ooh, this would be a good song to put in there, so I'll switch it around. But there's also parameters on that. You have to look and see what the last time it's been played at, that sort of thing. If it's one of our core artists, Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, Pink Floyd, Van Halen, Kiss, U2, if it's one of our core artists, you can play them at least every other hour.
Do you get a chance to, are you able to play deep cuts as well too? Or?
There is. We actually, what it works as, Darren, is most of it is organized into categories. Like, for instance, More Than a Feeling, or say Black Dog. Those are categorized as A1s. That means they were huge hits and they're in the A1 category. B is known as your tertiary category, which were strong songs, but not as strong as the A ones. And then you move down to C, which is a little weaker. And keep in mind, you have to keep in 35% CAN-CON requirements. That was an initiative started during the Trudeau administration in 1970.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Really?
and it started off as 30%. These days it's 35%.
35, yes.
And you can look it on the computer when you're programming to make sure that you're on the right spot. It'll say 35 or it'll say 34. It says 34, well, increase your CAN-CON. It's basically comes down to that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you being a DJ, you can't, I mean, and it's classic
But
rock.
back to answering your question, yeah. As far as obscurity goes, deep cuts, they're under a category called H1.
H1?
Yeah, and you're only allowed one H1 per hour,
Oh, really?
which is commonly known as a spice track.
Because that's the thing too, like I'm thinking to myself, okay, you're at a classic rock station. The people who are listening to this, I'm assuming, have been listening to this kind of music for years, and they've heard Black Dog a million trillion times.
And they want to hear it again. You know why, Darren? It's McDonald's. Say you and the kids and the family, you drive into a new town. You're hungry. You checked into the hotel, you're going to go out and eat. Well, what do? I mean, there's this great seafood restaurant, or it looks like a great seafood restaurant. It could be the best seafood restaurant in the world. But human nature often goes for what's known and what's more comfortable, and you're more happy to get what you know you're going to get. And that's why I use the McDonald's analogy. It's the same with classic rock radio. People, believe it or not, like you and I are music nerds, self-professed music nerds. So we don't want to hear Black Dog for the 80 millionth time, but the general public does.
But I mean, if they want to hear Zeppelin, what's wrong with maybe trying to listen to Traveling Riverside Blues or something like Dire Maker?
Well, actually, for the Zeppelin quotient, we actually play Zeppelin throughout the day, and then we have reserved time for the Zepp Maniacs, and at 3 o'clock we have a show called Get the Let Out. And it's deep cuts, rare cuts, live cuts, and the other day I said, and songs about food. There's the lemon song, there's hot dog, there's custard pie, tangerine, that sort of thing. Yeah, that was a joke. Yeah, I see that you're not laughing. That doesn't bode very well for me.
I'm laughing now.
Yeah.
Okay. So before
Because I told you to.
Yeah. Well, you asked politely. No, you didn't.
No, not really.
Not really.
No.
I'm having the funnest time ever talking to you, but I am obligated to take a short commercial break. So we're going to talk more about radio when we come back, okay?
Cool.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Rock It Up would not be possible without the help from our sponsors, Loretta and Sherilyn Flower. Contact them at 905-855-2200. Premier Mortgage Agent Dorothy Lazari, making mortgages simple with 20 years banking experience. Contact Dorothy Lazari at 416-428-9165. The Suburban Dog. Contact Michael Franklin at 905-582-6067 or email him at info@suburbandog.ca. Adobe Home Collection. Contact Sharon Cairns at 905-602-8905 or email her at sharon@adobehome.ca. Senior Burrito, the best authentic Mexican food in town. Visit us at our Mississauga location or give us a call at 905-916-2712.
All right, we're back here on Rock It Up TV with my special guest, Doc Stefani, as in Dr. Stefani. He's got a PhD in rock, just like I do. High
Yeah.
five. I think I feel very... Fist bump, okay. How 2015. I really, I'm glad that you're on this show because you're getting a chance, people are getting a chance to hear what you have to say about radio.
Well, often people wonder when they're riding around in their car, like, why is this happening or why is this going on and that? So I hope this will shed some light for some of the listeners.
And I think it is, definitely, very informative, okay? So I want you to go over what light, medium, and heavy rotation is for the
Okay.
benefit of those who don't know.
Heavy rotation would be something that is played Probably twice daily.
Heavy rotation?
Yeah.
Twice?
Yeah?
That's it?
Yeah, heavy rotation. Well, we don't play new songs anymore. We're a classic rock format.
Right.
When we weren't a classic rock format,
That's what I wanted to talk about.
yeah,
before.
it was if the song was doing really well and it was really popular, yeah, it would go into heavy rotation. A lot of younger groups, some of them who didn't even have the benefit of having a major backing them, they would be relegated to the light rotation category.
See Stone River.
Yeah, we played you though.
I know, you did, and I'm very grateful for that, but, a young band, especially at the time, and that was...
It is my contention that you guys are probably one of the best young groups to be played on the station.
Oh, you're really
No,
buttering me up.
no, I'm not buttering you
I
up.
think you do deserve that autograph.
I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. You can hear. My ears are tuned to what's good, and what's not so good. And I'm not going to get into what's not so good. I don't believe in talking out of school, but you guys are fantastic, still are.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So the heavies, if a song was doing really, really well, it would have got played 6-7 times a day.
Probably not. No. Like I said, 2 to 3.
2 to 3.
We really did not want to be derivative. That's the key. You don't want to be derivative. You get that in pop formats. Pop formats, you'll get the song every 40 minutes sometimes.
Yikes.
Yeah. Well, because their demographic are usually younger girls, and they don't care if they have to hear, the latest from Beyonce every 30 minutes or so, or every 40 minutes or so.
I guess they're happy to do it.
Yeah, whereas classic rock listeners, our demographic is males from age 25 to about 60. And they prefer a wider, selection. And there's so much to rate from classic rock, let's face it. I mean, I'm really not too worried about the future of the station, or any classic rock station for that matter. I had a Led Zeppelin shirt when I was a teenager, and the older kids made fun of me and would say, "Get your own band." Now I got my nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and they're 12, and they're wearing Led Zeppelin shirts. My son, Zachary, he's 5, he's got a Led Zeppelin shirt. Good music. If it's good music, it's going to last. That's see Beethoven for reference.
Right. Why is commercial radio so important for a band's future?
Oh, man. You get airplay, it's the keys to the kingdom.
Not always. There's this one band that we both know that I can't say publicly, so I'd probably trash them.
Yeah.
But I'll leave that out of my mouth for now.
Yeah.
But they are getting played probably medium rotation on these, very important stations. And
Probably goes back to my McDonald's theory.
we played a show with them in Toronto, and they brought out nobody.
Yeah.
So, and there's other instances too.
Well, let's be honest. We talked about this earlier when we were chatting, and the musical landscape here in North America for rock and roll is vastly different, say, than in Europe or South America. I mean, South America, they go crazy for heavy metal.
Crazy.
Crazy.
One piece of Megadeth footage where they're not singing the lyrics.
They're singing the guitar
riff.
leads.
Da, 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 da,
Yep.
da, da. Who does
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, that's,
Symphony for the
the fans down there fanatical. And, well, there's a reason for that, actually. Up until about maybe 1984, Brazil was under a dictatorship, a strict dictatorship that didn't allow rock and roll. That dictatorship was ousted, and Brazil was free again, and they had their first Rockin' in Rio festival. And the bands that played there left an indelible impression for life on that generation and further generations to come. So groups that were on that first Rockin' in Rio, the harder ones like Iron Maiden, Scorpions, Whitesnake, Judas Priest, they're practically like, altar level in South America. The UK, here's an example. One of my favorite new bands is the Rival Sons. They sell out stadiums in the UK, but we had them up in our listening range at a club. 12 people showed up.
This is one of the best bands today.
Yes. Yes.
no debating of the best singer that's going, of this generation.
Well, it's the musical landscape. North America has largely turned its back on a lot of good rock and roll music.
Yikes.
Yeah.
How sad. So, but I mean, commercial radio, going back
But
to...
it's cyclical. It could turn around again, and it probably will.
Well, you know what? There actually is a real rock revival thing that's going on. Bands that like Vintage Trouble, Rival Sons, Vintage Trouble.
Yeah,
of course
yeah.
you do. You're a doctor. I know you know this stuff, okay? Temperance Movement.
Excellent band.
Right? So, I mean, I think, rock and roll is at an underground level.
Blackberry Smoke.
Blackberry Smoke, yes, of course. And it's like rock and roll is an underground movement now. Kind of like where metal is.
Yeah, I suppose you could say that, but it'll come back.
Well,
People have been predicting the death of rock and roll since it started.
I don't think it'll ever die, but it definitely gets pushed back. There's all this other stuff that's...
There have been times. I think right now is probably the worst struggle rock and roll's gone through.
Think so?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So again, going back to why commercial radio is so important for a band's future. Do you want to answer that? Should I do it?
Well,
You're my guest. You should...
Yeah, but you know why it is.
I know,
Yeah.
but the millions of fans are going to be watching this.
In short, airplay is crucial to any young band starting out. The more your song gets played, the more familiarity there is with the band, and that's about that. The trouble is, if you're not signed to a major label, the chances of getting on commercial rock radio are almost nil. You'll be relegated to one of their independent shows.
Right. Yeah. That sounds about...
You guys were an anomaly at classic rock.
I think
Real
we even
anomaly.
beat out Kid Rock. There was some pump it or dump it thing that...
Yeah, you beat out Kid Rock.
All right. Take that, Kid Rock. Kid Not Rock.
Oh, I was really proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about how to get into radio. Now,
Oh,
I should point out for the millionth trillionth time,
radio is not for the faint of heart. When you graduate from college and you think you're going to get an on-air job in Toronto, chances are you won't. Chances are you'll be in Whitehorse. It's not for the faint of heart. It's fun, but there's a lot of pitfalls.
yeah, well said, well said. Now, for me, I've talked to a couple important people in radio, you being one of them as well too, and I asked advice about this. And I told them that I was doing a college radio station. And a program director from a very important station told me that it was smart because some kids use that just like, oh, haha, I got a radio show, haha. But then some people actually try to get better and polish and refine their skill set with that.
Yeah.
And that kind of prepares them
For the next level?
next level.
Yeah.
Now, it's not...
Well, a band should always be, there should always be constant innovation in a band, in my opinion.
I'm talking about me as a broadcaster, though.
Oh, okay. Well, same with the
Okay,
broadcasters.
yeah.
There should be constant innovation with the broadcaster.
Right.
John Derringer probably still works at his craft hard. I still work at my craft hard. You know what I mean? A lot of the good announcers are constantly working to make themselves better.
I went to a music school.
Yeah.
I won't even mention what it was. And they took there was no rigorous screening process.
I graduated from that school.
Yes, that's right.
You need it. They won't take you unless you have a college degree in commercial radio.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it's important...
Well, it depends. It depends. I mean, if you want to go into creative, write commercials and such, then you'd have a creative background. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because...
If you want to do news, you go to journalism.
Journalism.
Yeah.
Right.
If you want to do rock radio, you just do rock radio.
Okay. Well, because a very important PD told me, because I told him I was doing a college radio thing, and he told me that yeah, it's smart. And I asked him, do you need to go to school? He's like, no, not necessarily. You just have to be good.
I know several people that haven't gone to school, but they've got BAs from university, and they crept in through the back door. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes a lot of it, and I hate to say it, but a lot of commercial radio is it's all who you know.
Really?
Yeah, and you make friends and allies. Sadly, most of my allies are out of the business. But, for a lot of other people, it's not that case at all. It's this. Any monkey, and I'm serious, any monkey can learn how to push buttons and do levels. The real thing to doing great radio is what comes from here and what you verbalize and what the quality of what's coming out of your stories or whatever you're trying to pass along to the listener. And so colleges will teach you how to push those buttons, but when you're put in the hot seat, you can learn how to push those buttons in a very short amount of time.
But it's a personality. You have to have something interesting to
It's
talk
a
about.
God-given talent, Darren. It really is. It really is.
If you don't like speaking, then radio might not be.
If you're an introvert and you like hiding out in your basement, I don't recommend radio for you. No, I recommend Dungeons and Dragons.
World of Warcraft.
It's something like that.
Magic cards. Or something.
Axis and Allies.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, what's your thoughts on commercial radio as opposed to college radio?
College radio, basically, if you're looking to hear something new, you're dying to hear something new. You're dying to hear something new that you might be turned on to, and that sort of thing. College radio is for you. If you wish to hear the classics again and again, listen to commercial radio. Although there is Indie 88, which broadcasted out of here in Toronto, and they play indie music and they're a commercial radio station.
Oh, Doc, you always have great advice for me. Thank you so much for being a part of this show.
Well, thank you for having me.
We're just about out of time, unfortunately, but
all good things must come to an end.
yes, the next time we get a chance to do Rock It Up, hopefully you'll be a guest somewhere down the line.
I think I'm pretty confident about talking about anything musically, but I just appreciate you having me here.
Perfect. High five. Thanks a lot.
Fist.
Fist.
Yeah.
All right, romance. Okay. All right, so that pretty much wraps everything up for this week. Next week, we'll have a stellar episode of Rock It Up, I promise. So make sure you tune in then, just like you're tuned in now. Rock it up.
Rock It Up would not be possible without the help from our sponsors, Loretta and Sherilyn Flower. Contact them at 905-855-2200. Premier Mortgage Agent Dorothy Lazari, making mortgages simple with 20 years banking experience. Contact Dorothy Lazari at 416-428-9165. The Suburban Dog. Contact Michael Franklin at 905-582-6067 or email him at info@suburbandog.ca. Adobe Home Collection. Contact Sharon Cairns at 905-602-8905 or email her at sharon@adobehome.ca. Senior Burrito, the best authentic Mexican food in town. Visit us at our Mississauga location or give us a call at 905-916-2712.